Okay, the last lesson in here for this unit is going to be subtraction. The one thing that's different is there's subtraction, but you're going to have to borrow. Okay. For example, right now, this 7, right, you don't have a fraction. So we want to make a fraction out of this. Okay. All right. So what I'm going to do is I am going to borrow from this 7. Okay. I'm going to make this 7 into a 6. Okay. So I have 6. I'm going to write a 6 over here. All right. So I have 1 left over. What I'm going to do, since I need to account for that 1, I'm going to make it 6 and make a fraction that goes with it. Notice the bottom, the fraction here has a denominator of 8. So why make it any other number other than 8? I want to make it 6 and 8 over 8. Okay, so I've done a couple things. I borrowed from the 6, and I've gotten common denominators. So this will be 7 over 8, subtracting. Okay, so 8 minus 7 is going to give you 1, and I still have the denominator of 8, and I'm just going to bring down the 6. Okay, so 6 and 1/8. Okay, so again, I turned this 7 to a 6, so I have to account for that 1. So I made this fraction equal 1. 8 over 8 is 1. Why did I choose 8? Because this denominator here was already 8, so I just made this 8 out of 8. Okay, all right, so let's take a look at the next one. Again, there's no fraction here. I need to borrow from this 9. Okay, so I'm going to make this 9 and 8. So let me write 8 over here. Okay, that 1, the 9, I need to account for it. So I want to make a fraction that equals 1 here. I'm going to make it 10 out of 10. 8 and 10 tenths. Right? 8 and 10 tenths, that's the same as 9. Okay? But now I have a fraction to subtract that 3/10 with. Okay? So 10 minus 3 is 7. And the denominator stays 10. And I'm just going to bring down the 8. 8 and 7 tenths. One more of these. 6. I don't have any fraction here. Okay, so I'm going to borrow from the 6. Make it into a 5. Okay, so let me write over here 5. And now I want to make it 2 halves, because look at the denominator back here, down here. It's 2. So I'll make it 5 and 2 over 2. Okay, this I'm just going to bring over minus 3 and 1/2. Minus 1 is 1. I still have the fraction denominator of 2. And then 5 minus 3. 5 minus 3 is 2. All right, let's look at the ones in number 2. All right, in number 2, I have fractions in both, okay? Denominator is not the same. Okay, so I want to make same denominator. 4 and 2, those are my denominators. I can make 8 my new denominator, right? But 4, the bigger denominator, the bigger number is a multiple of 2. So it'll be easier for me to make it the denominator 4. Okay, so 2 times what gives you 4? 2 times 2 does. So multiply the top by 2. 1 times 2 is 2. And then 4 times what gives you 4? 4 times 1 gives you 4. So I want to multiply the top by 1. 1 times 1 gives me 1. Now, if you look here, when you subtract 1 minus 2, you can't do it. Right? 2 is bigger than 1. You're going to get a negative number. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to borrow. Okay, so when we borrow, let me bring this 4 here and this 2 here. I'm going to borrow from this 4. I'm going to make it into a 3. And that 3, so there's 1 right now. So I want to add a 1 to this 1/4 and make that 1 a 4 out of 4. Okay, so I have here 1/4 plus 4/4, and that's 5/4. Now I have 3 and 5/4. 2/4 is just going to come, 2 and 2/4 is just going to come over. 5 minus 2 is 3/4. 3 minus 2 is 1. 3 minus 2 is 1, not negative, right? Okay, so it's just 1 and 3/4. Okay. All right, let's try it again. Let's do it again. Okay, so I need a common denominator. Here are my fractions. 3 and 5. Of 3, the bigger number. It is not. Okay, so I can't use 5 as my common denominator. Multiple of 3. So I want to multiply these. 3 times 5 is 15. So I'll use 15. Okay, so 15 and 15. 5 times what gives me 15? 5 times 3 does. So 4 times 3 is 12. 3 times what gives me 15? 3 times 5 gives me 15. So 2 times 5 is 10. Okay, so now 10 minus 12, I can't do it. Smaller than 12, okay? So I'm going to borrow from this 4. This 4 is going to become a 3. And how do I count for that one that's missing? I want to add it here. Plus 15 over 15. Okay, so where'd that 1 go? It's right here. Why did I make it 15 out of 15? So it has a common denominator with this 15. 10 plus 15 is 25. Okay, 25 over 15. And now I have a 3 over here. 3 and 25 over 15. And this was minus 1, 1 and 12/15. Okay, so there's the 1 still there. And then I change this to 12/15, so it's going to stay 12/15. Now I'm going to do 25 minus 12, which is 13. 15 stays. 3 minus 1 is 2. Okay, so let's do another one. All right, this next one. All right, so 8 and 2. 8 and 2, let's check to see if the bigger denominator, the 8, is a multiple of 2, and it is. It gives you 8. So I want to use 8 as my denominator. 8 times what gives you 8? 8 times 1 does. So I'll multiply the 3 by 1. 3 times 1 is 3. 2 times what gives you 8? 2 times 4 does. 1 by 4. 1 times 4 is 4. Hey, look, I have 4 minus 3. I don't need a borrow here. Okay, 4 is bigger than 3, so I can take 3 away from the 4. So let me just bring the 6 over, bring the 1 over. Subtracting. 4 minus 3 is 1. I have the 8 as my denominator. 6 minus 1 is 5. Okay, and then we'll do one last one. All right, so I have different denominators, 3 and 2. Okay, the bigger denominator here, here's my fractions I want to circle. The bigger denominator, the 3, is not a multiple of 2. Okay, there's 2 times what whole number will give me 3? There is none. Okay, so I'm just going to multiply 3 and 2 together and get 6. Okay, 2 times what gives me 6? 2 times 3 does. So I'll multiply 1 times 3 and get 3. And 3 times what gives me 6? 3 times 2 does. 1 times 2 gives me 2. Okay, now I'm going to do 2 minus 3, but I can't do it. 2 is smaller than 3. So I want to borrow from this 1. This 1 now becomes a 0. All right, so where did that extra 1 go that I borrowed? It's going to go over here. I'm going to add 1 here to this 2, 6. What's that 1 going to look like? It's going to look like 6 over 6. Okay, now I can add, they have the same denominator. 2 plus 6 is 8 over 6. Minus this 3, 6 just stays. Okay, 8 minus 3 is 5, 6. And now I had a 0 there, so I don't need to bring over a 0. Okay, so this just stays 5/6.